All right, hey guys, welcome. Okay, so last week Pam talked and she talked about sharing the destination and not talking about how you get there. So let me paint a picture for you. All right, so back in the fall, I started playing around with TikTok and playing around with the TikTok shop in particular, right? So I started kind of messing around with it, me and a couple girlfriends of mine, because we saw a training at Jubilee. So the training that we saw at Jubilee, they actually do it a different way, and I don't really know that way, so I'm not going to train on that way that they do it. But the way that we kind of decided to tackle it, sorry, I dropped something. The way that we decided to tackle it was to go for utilizing the TikTok shop, which is TikTok's platform to be able to sell products, right? So the shop, just to give an explanation, is if you're not familiar with it, it is you actually have a shop. You create listings of products, right? So these are products that you have on hand. So, for example, the closest Tupperware I have to me is my container with my marbles, right? So my container with my marbles. So if this was a brand new piece of Tupperware, right, I could list this in my TikTok shop for sale, right? And I have it in my hands. I'm the one who ships it out through the TikTok shop, right? This does not go through my Tupperware website. This is stock that I carry and I'm shipping it out. So I'm almost like my own little boutique, okay? So this is for the TikTok shop is for people that carry stock and you're shipping it out. You have to ship it out within 24 to 48 hours, okay? Just to give you a little bit of like that's how that works, okay? Now, if you're sitting there going, I don't have stock, so this isn't going to work for me, just keep listening, okay? Because there are lots of different ways that you can go live, and all these skills that I'm going to be talking about in this series all summer long are skills that you can use on every single platform. And these skills, when you hone these skills, they work for live parties, they work for anytime you have to go live, anytime you need to record yourself for a demonstration, anytime you have any of that stuff. And I'm telling you, even if you work an in-person business, these skills will help you, even if you're just recording yourself practicing to get better at being live in front of people. I promise you it's going to help. All right. So just stick with me. All right. So I started in the fall and my two friends started before me, and they just like, because I just had stuff going on, I just didn't get a chance to like jump in. They jumped in. So they got the ball rolling before me. I was like, wow, you really need to get on this. So I started getting on it. And fast forward, things kind of took off in January. So from January to now, I did a little math for you. From January to now, I've sold $21,000 in Tupperware on TikTok Shop. So do you like that? How's that for a destination? So that is, the number, right? So $21,000 in sales in TikTok Shop, in Tupperware sales on TikTok Shop. But not only that, but I have a really loyal customer base. I have these customers that like tune in. I know their names. I know their handles on TikTok, and I usually don't refer to them as their personal name. If they've got a handle, I'm assuming that they don't really, they have a handle because they don't want to use their personal name. So I don't refer to them as their personal name, but I actually know their personal name because they bought enough from me enough times. I actually know their name, and they know me. I know personal things about them. They know personal things about me. I have people, it's so funny because it's just, I've gotten recruits from it. I've gotten parties from it. And it's the closest thing to an in-home party as far as relationship building goes that I have found personally in the virtual world, because I'm there, I'm talking, and you talk about authentic. It doesn't get much more authentic because I can't edit myself when I'm live. Okay. When I drop my Tupperware and I knock over my display, it is what it is. Okay. When I flub up and I say something inappropriate, I can't take it back. Okay. So, it is what it is. Okay. I can't edit myself. I can't delete it. I can't do any of that. Right. Now, I will say once you're live on TikTok, it goes away. Like you're live, but it's not recorded. They can't go back and watch it. Now, when Nikki was talking about the what is kind of trending right now, and that it's very authentic and it's not polished and all that. So then I go through my live and I actually take snippets that are live highlights. And that's what I post for Reels, right? So they're my live highlights. So that's actually, I mean, it doesn't get much more raw than that. It's just little clips of me talking, and I don't edit them. I don't, all I do is cut the ends. So it's just like I find, I find the best 60 seconds I can find clip without me doing something stupid or like, and that's what I post, right? So seriously, I mean, it's very authentic. It's all of those things. And that's one of the things I love about that platform. I will be honest with you, I was super nervous about that platform. I had all these rules for myself. I'm like, I'm not going live after 6 p.m. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that, because I thought weird things were going to happen. But you know what? These people, they're so nice and they stick up for you. If somebody comes into my chat and they're like saying weird stuff, one, I can block them super fast. Okay. They're out. I can kick them out. And two, all the people in the chat, I don't even have to defend myself. They defend me. It's the coolest thing. So it's a really great community. And so even if I don't go live on my regularly scheduled times when I normally am, they'll check on me, they'll message me and be like, hey, I haven't seen you, I hope everything's okay. I mean, seriously, that's the type of community that you can build on a platform when you're going live regularly. Now, whether you choose that platform to be TikTok, or if you do it in Facebook, or if you do whatever, a lot of the Canadians do Facebook, right? So they have Facebook VIP groups that they go live in all the time and do recipes and do all those things. You can do that. You can do Instagram, all of that. TikTok is just what I'm familiar with, but you can choose your platform, right? So that is the destination. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about the plane ride. Okay. So it started off. So it started off, and so my girlfriends are like, listen, you got to go live. You're not going to get a lot of hits. You just got to go live. You got to break through this barrier before TikTok will really start pushing you out. And I was like, okay. And they're like, you just got to go live, but you have to go live a minimum of an hour. And I'm like, okay. So they're like, just go live for an hour. It doesn't really matter what you're doing because nobody's really watching you anyway. So just go live. And they were like, they actually sat there and they would put in their listings into their TikTok shop. That was their office time, that hour, right? And so they would go live for an hour and they would be working on the computer. And my one girlfriend said, I treat it like a vendor show. If somebody walks past your booth at a vendor show, you go, hi, how's it going? Right? Is there anything to help you with or whatever? So you can see when people come into your live. And so she'd be like, hi, let me know if there's anything I can help you with, while she's like inputting orders, or not orders, inputting stuff into the shop. Well, that felt really weird for me. So I couldn't help myself. So I just talked. I couldn't put orders in. I got all flustered. And so I just talked for an hour. So I just would go live and I talked for an hour. A lot of times I was talking to myself, maybe my two besties that are out there. I have no idea who they were. But I would just talk and I would just pick up products and I would just talk about them and whatever. And yeah, so I couldn't just sit there for an hour and do that. So I did that for about 45 days. And I remember talking to Pam and she was like, I called her and I was like venting about something. And then I was like, but I do have good news too. And she's like, oh yeah, what's that? I said, I actually have people talking back to me on TikTok now. Right? And so, but then it starts to happen, right? People start communicating with you and start talking back and forth with you, but there is a barrier you kind of have to get through. So whether you choose to take that time, and that's when you're making your listings, or if you're choosing to take that time and be like me and just talk, or whatever it is you're choosing to do that time. But what ended up happening is, it was the weirdest thing. It was truly like a barrier. The moment I broke through that barrier, and in the next 2 weeks after I broke through that barrier, I had $6,000 in sales in that next 2 weeks. And I was like, holy smokes, I don't even know what to do with myself. Like, I was just like, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to pack orders. I didn't know what was happening. I was stressed. And then it leveled out a little bit. And then it's just been a steady flow and it's been consistent, right? So, so let's talk a little bit. So that's a little bit about the destination, a little bit about the plane ride. And now I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview. And then next week, we're going to start getting kind of more into nitty gritty strategy and stuff like that. But I am going to give you like a little bit of a checklist of things that you can do. Just 3 little things, not a huge checklist. Okay. But 3 little things that you can do between this week and next week to kind of get started going in the right direction. So the benefits of using live selling is it increases engagement, right? You can start building building that relationship, right? Because you're conversing, you're yourself, you're doing that type of stuff. Viewers can directly interact with you and create that sense of community and connection. You get instant feedback. You know right away whether or not you're picking up what you're putting down, okay? Because they're gonna leave. And it's funny because my one friend, she was like going hard on recruiting. And I was like, so what happens when you start with your spiel? And she goes, oh, I wait till my numbers are really high and then I bring in the recruiting and I watch the numbers drop. And I said, well, so, but what happens? And she goes, well, I get a few bites. And I'm like, okay. And then she would follow up with her or whatever. But I thought her strategy was interesting. I was like, okay, so like bull in a china shop. Got it. Okay. So, but everybody kind of has a different approach with that, right? But you do, it's instant feedback. You can tell when you're kind of going the wrong direction, your numbers, you can watch your numbers and all that. And then I have a friend who doesn't look at the numbers at all. She just goes and just puts the blinders on and just demos and does stuff like that, right? So, all different ways to do it. And so there's a boosted sales conversion because you have real-time demonstrations. You're able to demonstrate the products and answer questions in real time, which is really nice, right? So the other thing is that authenticity and that trust, right? They're looking right at you. They're looking in your eyeballs. You're close to the camera. I try to be close and back and close. I go close to the camera. I get back from the camera. And then I bring the product up very close to the camera. I show it to them. They can see it, I open it. They can see how it opens. They do things like that. So there is that trust, right? And then I even talked to one of the customers on the phone one time. She asked if I could call her about something, and I was like, sure. Like I was like, I think that okay. Like, I mean, I would call a customer if, she found me on my website, so why wouldn't I call her if she found me on TikTok? So I called her and she was just like, wow, you sound just like you do on your lives. And I'm like, who else would I sound like? But I mean, like, truly. And then I was like, well, I mean, I guess there maybe are some people that put on fronts, but, I guess, we are who we are. And I mean, I am who I am all across the board. Anybody who knows me personally kind of knows once I start opening my mouth, then what comes out, what comes out, whether I'm here or in person 101. All right. So yeah, so that authenticity is there, and that's how you build that trust. So the cool thing about TikTok Shop in particular is it has that live stream product tagging. So I can like spotlight something at the bottom of my screen that I'm talking about, and it's like click, click, boom, right? So it's just like they click on the product, it's in their cart, and then they buy it. Like it's so fast. It's amazing. And that's why it's so easy for people to purchase. The benefits of TikTok in particular is you have access to a large engaged audience, right? If you can get out to the For You page, that's where you want to go because that's new customers. Those aren't people that follow you. And that's where the majority of my sales come from, the people that don't follow me. And so it's interesting. And so my two friends that we kind of experimented with this together, one of them has a huge following, right? Me, I barely met the requirements. Actually, I did not meet the requirements to go live. I filled up my TikTok shop before I even was allowed to go live. So you have to have 1,000 followers to go live. I think when I started filling up my TikTok shop, I had less than 600 followers. And I was like, well, I'm just going to start filling up my shop. And then I'm just going to ask them if I can go live because I read somewhere that you could just email them and ask them if you could go live. And a lot of times they say yes. And I was like, okay, well, if I have a shop full of stuff, you'd think they'd want me to go live, right? So that was my strategy. But then they turned it on before I even filled up the shop. So I was like, okay. I was like, all right, that worked. So, I mean, you just kind of never know. So, and then also the opportunities for just like enhanced visibility, all that kind of good stuff. Now, there's lots of policies and rules on TikTok, which is very fun at times. Okay. So, and you want to make sure that you read those policies and rules. One in particular, so for those of you that have already started trying to set things up, or you already have a TikTok account, or you've already started opening your store, this is a big one. Okay. This is a big, big one is the platform is very, very strict on trademarks, right? And so Tupperware is actually a brand that is trademarked. very heavily trademarked. And so you cannot use the word Tupperware in any of your listings. You can't use it in writing. So you can't use it in the title of your listing. You can't use it in the description on your listing. And in your pictures, like this right here, how it says Tupperware right there, you have to blur that out. So they use AI to search listings for any violation like that, and it'll flag you. All right. So you have to blur that stuff out. And so you just got to be careful with that because they will flag you as a violation and you get points and all this jazz. Once you get so many points, then they'll do, I don't know what they do. They shut you down, they give you different penalties for different things. And that stuff, trust me, I've gotten some violations on some things, okay? It's not the end of the world. You can work around it. You just kind of like, okay, I got it. I've had my live shut down. I'm like, okay, I got it. I didn't mean to, okay? Like, my bad, right? So it's not the end of the world, right? This is how we learn, right? This is how we learn. It's just kind of like the kid trying to ride a bike and they fall down and skin their knee and they're like, okay, I'm not gonna do that again. All right. So we're just all trying to learn. All right. So, but if that's something that you have more questions around, definitely reach out to me because I have lots of answers because I've definitely ruffled some feathers there. So, but it's definitely something we can work around. All right. So, until we don't have to. So, for right now, we got to work around it. So, we'll work around it because $21,000. Hello. Let's go. We can do this. All right. It's definitely worth working around. So we can work around that and lots of leads and lots of new customers, lots of new eyeballs, all kinds of good stuff, right? So yeah, so it will definitely help your business and it'll increase your demo skills. Like I said, it'll increase your confidence. I'm telling you, it'll increase your confidence when you start practicing going live, all that kind of good stuff. It will grow your tech knowledge, right? It'll grow your tech knowledge. It'll help you learn how to use your phone. It will help you learn how to use different platforms and different things like that. Because one thing that I have learned over the years is in learning different tech and stuff like that, because I'll be honest with you, I am not a techie person. My brain doesn't work that way. It really doesn't, but I'm determined. And so it takes me a little bit longer, but I'll get there. I just Google it and Google it and Google it and watch a lot of videos. And I use different devices. So I'll have my phone with YouTube video as I'm doing, and I watch a YouTube video and I hit pause and then I do it on my laptop and then I hit play and then I watch it and I do it on my, and so that's how I learned, guys. And I'm just determined. I'm not necessarily techie, I'm determined. And because I've been determined for so many years, I've taught myself lots and lots and lots of things. And you can too. And you can too. But when you put these things in practice, the thing that I've learned is once you learn a tool like Canva, it actually transfers to almost all of those graphic editing things. Once you learn how to build a web page, it transfers almost to any landing page building type of a thing. Same. Once you make a listing like on TikTok, it's almost the same with anything else that you have to create some sort of a listing for. It's bizarre. But once you do it once and you learn some of the terminology and stuff like that, it carries across. So you will get really great skills just by even trying doing something like this new. So it's worth it. So between now and next week, what I want you to do is one, think about what platform you might want to go live on, right? Maybe it's Facebook, right? Maybe it's Instagram, maybe it is TikTok, right? If it is TikTok and you're interested, you have stock on hand and you want to be able to maybe utilize TikTok Shop, go ahead and start taking steps towards creating a seller account. All right. So you can go ahead and start taking steps toward creating a seller account is what it's called. When you're doing that, the one important thing is you are not a corporate account. It'll ask you, there are two things. I can't remember what the other one's called, but one is called corporate account. You are not a corporation, okay? You're an individual. So you're not a corporation. A corporation would be like Tupperware brands signing up for this. We're not them. All right. And then the last thing is maybe kind of start scouting out your house for maybe a place that you could set up a rack, a couple shelves that you could leave up all the time, right? That you could leave up all the time. Maybe it's a closet. I know somebody that was on TikTok. I think they still are possibly. And they started in a closet. right? So they had a closet and they just had a rack in a closet and they had a desk in front of it. And that was where they went live, right? And then when I first started going live, I was in my basement and I had a wire rack that I had that wire rack was already there. And it was the wire rack that I had designated for, it was the college rack. So whenever I was buying supplies for my kids' college dorms, I put it on this rack and I was like, all right, move all this stuff. I'm putting some Tupperware on here. And it literally was just the top three shelves because I put a table in front of it and I had my chair and I had a table and my laptop and you couldn't see the bottom shelf, so it didn't matter what was there. So it's just the top three shelves. And then I made sure my camera angle only showed those top three shelves. It was kind of like if you remember the Zoom where the mom's like, is everything okay? And the dad's holding the baby and he's like, yeah, everything's great. And it's like super clean in the camera shot and everything was a really hot mess behind. Yeah, that was the whole rest of the basement. Trust. Okay. But those three shelves were really tidy. All right. So then, after TikTok did not get banned, I did some rearranging and I got two shelves. So now I have two shelves. And then when I started making more money, then I expanded and so now I have two shelves and I have a stand-up desk and I have a whole bunch of other stuff. But it started with one shelf and a 4-foot table and three shelves on my shelf and my Mac. So you start small, right? Start small. That's all it starts. So just scout around your house and see where could I possibly set something up that I can leave up all the time. Because if you can leave it up all the time, you're more likely to go for it, right? And so it's you're more likely to pick up a product and do a quick live or do a quick demo to be able to send out to somebody or make a quick reel or do anything like that. So even if you're not intending on going live, just even so that you can have a backdrop, because I'm going to call Pam Green out. So Pam Green had that beautiful, for a couple weeks in a row, she had that beautiful display that was right there on her countertop for a couple weeks on our meeting. And that's exactly it. That's all you need. She had like 3 crates and this gorgeous display. And like literally that's all you need. And just have that sitting there and be able to just sit down in front of it and talk, and I sat down because I had more confidence sitting down. Now I have more confidence standing up. And I did the same thing when I first started in Tupperware. I sat down until I got the confidence. And when I got the confidence, I started standing. And so I did the same thing with TikTok because let me tell you, I was nervous as all get out. And I felt so awkward and nervous for probably the first 3 months that I did it. And I'd be like, I don't want to do this. The whole way downstairs, I was like a little kid stomping to the basement. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm like, I hate this. I feel so weird. Nobody talks to me. And I'd go down and I do it anyways. And now it's fun. All right. So just give it a shot, right? Just give it a shot. So those are your assignments. All right. Well, good luck, guys. We'll see you next week. 10 more minutes. Well, this is 20. Sorry, guys.